And what you said about death is really important. There's um there's an interesting field called terror management theory, which has got a Wikipedia entry if you're not familiar with it, and just kind of go and look up terror management theory. And basically, it's this idea that human beings are at a really deep unconscious level. We're really panicked by the fact we know we're going to die, and then we take refuge in nationalism, racial identities, all kinds of things that kind of help us feel that we're not going to die. Unfortunately, taking refuge in that stuff, often others, a whole bunch of people who are not the same skin color or the same eye color or the same flag waving as we are. Now, the difference is if you look at people who have a near death experience through an accident, through a psychedelic experience, through whatever, those people often are less grasping at the world. They are often more compassionate, more curious, more open, and kind of slightly counterintuitively, from a straightforward point of view, they're less worried about dying. So all initiation rituals, doesn't matter who does them, doesn't matter where they happen, doesn't matter when they happen, they all basically look like a recapitulation of our experiences as humans being born. We're in a place of darkness in our mother, relative darkness, relative constriction. There's noise, there's strange smell, stuff's going on. And then we move from this into a moment of like revelation and light. And we experience, in a sense, a death. You know, this is all we know when we're inside our mother. This is all we have ever known. And that ends. And we come outside and we breathe and we're cut and we're the separate being. So all those initiatory experiences, the Eleusinian one, or the experience that, you know, there's Michael Hana taking ayahuasca and being put into the hammock by the shaman dude. You know, you just sit in there and cook for a while, it'll be fine. It's in the darkness, surrounded by the sounds of the jungle. Same, but, you know, same thing. So these experiences of this kind of death and rebirth, this is something that I think is absolutely essential for the psychic health of humans. We absolutely have to do it. Doesn't matter, we don't have to do it with drugs necessarily. We can do it with any number of different things, you know. And our young people inherently seek these out. And that's why they engage in like risk-taking behavior, and they'll take all kinds of experimental chemicals and they'll go and climb up precipitous buildings and then put the stuff on YouTube. Because we have to have these experiences. Otherwise we go crazy, you know, to keep it simple. We find ourselves disconnected. We found ourselves adrift. And then we take refuge in very simple answers. We take refuge in, you know, I don't know, simple political answers, QAnon conspiracy answers, anything that seems to give us like a solid place to stand, because it's all too confusing and weird. The problem is that most of those simple answers in the face of the complexity of the world are not really worth the paper that they're written on. They don't actually answer anything. And in fact, they tend to actually cultivate more fear, more disconnection, more othering, than if we actually are able, we're our culture and our circumstances permit us to go through these death and rebirth moments. And that's when we become more fully human, and we also become nicer to each other by and large, you know. We become more compassionate. We become more ready to recognize that we may fear our own death, and we may fear the death of those that we love, that are around us. There's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but also that maybe we get like a sense of something like deeper than that, that's kind of beyond that, that allows us not to just take refuge in a simple answer to the complex problem, but to actually be authentically present with the human reality of how we all are. You know, that's what makes a difference. That's what helps us be sane. What helps us be well.